Welcome students. Let us see the first chapter from your behind, The Fun They Had, which is written by Isaac Asimov, and this story is being said here 17th May 2157. Now through the story you have to read about two of the schools. One, the School of Future, whether the classes will be followed as learning through the computer, there will be virtual classroom, there must be a robotic teacher, and moving e-text you will find. And the another school is discussed here, the old school like yours. The story has a few important characters, and they are the Margie at the first, then Tommy, Mrs. Jones, and county inspector, and then now mechanical teacher. Let us see the story. What happens in the whole around? I would like to give you a detailed summary, detailed explanation too. Here, a girl, Margie, who had created a diary. In her diary, she wrote on the above part, the dated as 17th May 2157. It means it is just a description for the future, where you are not in present, but you take an imagination in your mind. What happens? She tells at the very beginning that today Tommy got a real book. She discusses about a boy, a Tommy, who is just a neighboring boy, who got a real book. And in her discussion with him, what she finds? She finds that the boy had got a book that was inscribed, written on the pages. Whether that girl was very confused to know how this is a book of the time of their grandfathers. That Tommy told that it was a real book, and how at the time of his grandfathers they would go to such a school where there were so many different students. They gathered together in the same class, and there was a teacher, a human teacher. That was also a big surprise for that girl, whether she had to read in the telebook. She had to read on the computer screen. Not she, but Tommy also used to read the telebooks. And telebook that is discussed here, the book of computer, where they had the e-text. Tommy, in her discussion, he told about that kind of earliest book, whether the things that was described on the first page, after turning the more pages, whenever they return the same thing, they could get on the first page. These all things were very surprising for that little girl who was of 11 years old. That boy, Tommy, was of 13 years old, and so he had read many of the telebooks. He knew more about the telebooks. Later, in the story of Margie, it is discussed that her classroom was just next to her bedroom, where she had to go to read. It was that was high school for that girl. What happened? She was in problem for a long, as in geography sector, most of the time she had to face the tests, and she was bored after doing the tests and tests many times, and some problems also faced What happened? When Margie's mother, Mrs. Jones, that is discussed here in the main characters, she called a county inspector. When she knew her daughter was panicked or troubled by some reasons, she wanted to know why she was falling back in a study, and so she called the county inspector. Here, county inspector came and was the textbooks, that computer screen, and when he found got a fault, the gear, it means the level of the study of in geography section, it was high, and so he upgraded it. He minimized to the little boys or girls of 10 around, and then he suggested to Mr. Jones that it's not fault of your girl, your daughter. She had done well. Even the county inspector had given her an apple to it and patted her head and told, yes, you did well. What happened? It's too troublesome for that girl whether she had hoped that person who came to arrange the things, the source, the geography sector, he could not manage it. But that county inspector did everything. That girl, what happened, was panicked now. She had hoped that once it happened to the Thomas teacher who went for a long month, but now she had to join the same classes. Later, it happened. Once again, they were in conversation. She wanted to know more about the old book, that real book, what Tommy had found. And in the conversation, Tommy told that, do you know, that time there was a man who used to teach most of the children together, and in that way she tells that no, it is not possible that a man can be a teacher. How a man can be a teacher? She tells about her own mother who had a different type of suggestion. She usually told her that for different children there should be different. In the discussion of both Margie and Tommy, at last he told her that if you would get such book, you could think a waste and could throw, but I don't. The Margie too replied that yes, she would like the book. What happened? When they discuss about the teachers and the schools of both type of future and the present, it means for the ancient type of the school, that time Tommy told that yes, they would go to school together, where if they had any problems, they could share, because they all had to be taught the same thing. And when they were in discussion, that very time Mr. Jones, that Margie's mother, called her that Margie, it's the time of your school, and perhaps Tommy too had to join. Then she came to her own school that was just beside her own bedroom, it was next to her bedroom. That time the mechanical teacher, where in the character you can see here, it's also a role of mechanical teacher there, because he is the same, the robotic teacher who usually used to teach them on a screen, computer screen. So he was waiting for that girl. When she went and started her computer screen, he was with the fraction 1/2 plus 1/4 as even the time that girl Margie was thinking about that the school, it was ancient type of a school, about that real book, and she was remembering what the fun they had. So it means in the whole chapter it is discussed that in all type of the school where you are alive, you are facing that type of a school where there is a special room, a building for you, and most of the children sit together and read the same text by a teacher. It is here the main theme was to discuss about the differences of two of the schools. Okay, thank you.